Oh, hi there. My name's Aaron Hill, and I'm the guy that researches how many Jews there are in things. You've probably seen some of my work, most notably from when Kanye West shared my Jews in the media spreadsheet, or more recently when the infographic I made, also about Jews in the media, has been going around. You know, some people's hobbies are video games, other people's hobbies are sports, and my hobby is how many Jews there are in things. Speaking of sports, did you know that the NBA has 14 Jewish owners out of 30 teams? That's pretty weird considering they only make up 2% of the population. Just saying. Whenever I find a Jew, I put a Star of David over their photo to indicate that they are Jewish. Think of it like maybe an armband, but a digital one that I put on there to keep track of them. Some people on the internet call me names or say I'm an anti-Semite because I get some things wrong or am purposely misleading, but I'm not an anti-Semite. I just like to know how many Jews there are in things. And sure, there's some mistakes sometimes, but we all make mistakes. Or sometimes I won't have enough Jews to put on the infographic, so I'll embellish a little bit, like the Jews, and I'll do things like put Steve Jobs on there as a Jew, which is obviously not true, or put Bob Iger of Disney on 12 different times with different versions of his name. It doesn't really matter. People believe it because they're fucking idiots. Take Comcast NBC, for example. They have 186,000 employees, and here I counted 100 Jews working there. Concerning. A lot of my former friends and family find it weird how obsessed I am with Jews and how many there are in things. But what I find weird is that 212 Jews have received Nobel Prizes, which makes up 22% of all Nobel Prizes ever given out. Pretty weird considering they only make up 0.2% of the world's population, right? Some people say, what's the big deal that Jews are overrepresented in things? Surely they're underrepresented in other things. Wouldn't it basically make me a communist to want exact representation in all things? But that's not what I want. I just want there to be no Jews in any things.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to it. Conservative Confucius, back at it again. We got a good episode for you today. We're going to be covering some of the crazy stuff that I've been seeing lately. If you've been on Twitter or anywhere on social media, you've probably seen how Candace Owens has just gone insane, like full Nazi. And it is just crazy. I mean, I never thought, like, I've seen her go pretty far over the last few months, and I gave her some leeway because she was basically the person who helped me go from left to right, one of the main people. And to see her making this drastic journey from a person who worked for PragerU, who was one of the only people who went to the, Jerusalem embassy opening and was a staunch supporter of Israel and all of this stuff, to this is just absurd. I don't understand why it's happening. If really that conversation with Rabbi Shmuley Botek really did this to her, I don't know why this is happening. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He's a very obscure rabbi with a small following. He's famous for his antics and his animation when he speaks. He's not actually that big of a rabbi. Like, he doesn't own a huge, or not own, but he doesn't run a huge congregation. He has a relatively small congregation. So sitting here and saying, like, that one dude not being very nice to you is reason for you to go down this path is just unbelievable. I don't understand what made you think these things, and how are you verifying any of this when it's all obviously false, obviously untrue, and it's easily verifiably untrue, and yet you're still sitting here going through this rhetoric that is spewed only by the most vile of neo-Nazis, the most vile of Islamists, the most vile of anti-Semites, and yet you're sitting here pushing it like it's mainstream knowledge that every person should know, and none of it is true. And if the tiny bits that are true are completely taken out of context and thrown in there to give legitimacy to the untrue shit. All right, so let's get into it, guys. I opened up with a pretty funny video because I didn't want to just start off on a super serious note. We'll get down to the rest of that one in a little bit. I reposted it saying, this is Candace and Kanye's guy in the chair. The guy, like they mentioned in Spider-Man Homecoming, like the guy who sits behind the scenes and researches everything, does everything, gets everything ready for them. That's that guy is Candace and Kanye's and Lucas Gage's guy in the chair. Alrighty, so let's get into it and let's do it. Let's do it into it. Alrighty then. Don't forget to get down there, smash the like button, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and don't forget to share this video if you guys like it. Alrighty, let's get down to it and do it. Alrighty, we'll start with this one. This one is insane. This is from Jew Pavlu. So she goes on claiming a whole bunch of nonsense crap says that she's read a ton of books and figured it out. And she claims that Israel was founded by Frankists who followed Jacob Frank, an obscure cult leader excommunicated by the Jewish authorities of Poland in the 18th century because he rejected all of the Jewish laws and Talmud and the Tanakh and all that stuff. So even though he was not part of the Jewish religion at all or the Jewish community, because he ran a tiny itty bitty cult, she thinks this is like, and this is in the 16th century. She talks about how Jews were getting blamed for killings of children. That didn't happen in the 16th century. The blood libel that she's mentioning and thinks that somehow is related to what she's talking about. Sorry, 18th century, not 16th, 18th century. So it's 1700s. Somehow she's thinking the blood libel of 1000 AD is somehow comparable to the persecution of Jews in the 18th century. Like what? The blood libel that Christian children were being murdered by Jews and drinking their blood during Passover was not started because of the Frankish cult. It was started nearly like what? So you're looking at roughly 700 to 800 years before that was when that started. So you can't sit here and say, oh, the blood libel was because of an actual cult. No, that cult didn't exist and was not even had not even come about yet for another almost 1,000 years. You can't use these bullshit excuses and revisionist history to push your points.
Like, oh, the Holocaust happened and then we realized that Israel needs a state. No, that's not how it went down. That's not how it went down at the F all, okay? Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, and then they would find bodies, okay, across Europe, and they were able to trace them back to Jews.
No, they weren't.
They weren't Jews, okay? These were Frankists. And so just like Leo Frank killed Mary Fagin on Passover back in 1913 or 1914, I can't remember the exact dates, he did it during Passover for a reason, this Frankist cult, which is masquerading behind Jews, still participates in this shit to this day, okay?
No, they don't.
Why would you want, as a small nation that is the size of New Jersey, okay, why would you want the pedophiles to flee there? Like, why would you want the pedophiles to be procreating? Unless the nation of Israel may have been established by some Frankists. And it's looking like Theodore Herzl's family was from the exact same area in Moravia and in Bohemia, where the Frankists...
So just because someone lived near a place that one other group may have existed at some point in time in history, that means that because he was there 250 years after the Frankish people were expelled from that land, that means that because he happened to be in the same, somewhat near the land that they lived in 200 years prior to that, when they didn't exist anymore at the time he was born, yet somehow it's somehow connected to that. Are you stupid? So a group that was expelled from the land, expelled from Judaism 250 years prior to that, he's then born, grows up, and becomes a man. And yet because he was born and raised in the same vicinity, which means like 3-4 hours from where they lived, somehow that means he's connected to this. Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Is there a hole in your brain? Like, should we drill a hole in your brain and be like get all that crazy shit out of there like they used to, boring a hole in your brain and then let the crazy come out? Because I don't know what's wrong with you, Candace. You have gone full insane. You are a literal Nazi.
This cult was founded. Crazy.
Nope, it's not, because you're wrong. You're grasping at straws.
Theodore Herzl, who wrote in a
You are an idiot grasping at straws that do not exist.
Book that he didn't care how many Jews had to die for him to get to Israel.
Oh
like,
my God.
Maybe he was not actually a Torah worshiping Jew. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas here. And by throwing out some ideas, I mean, I've read a ton of books and I figured it out. Okay.
No, you haven't.
I am just.
You haven't read shit. You've read conspiracy theories. You've read books written by people who aren't Jewish. You've read nothing of consequence. How about actually reading the doctrine of Judaism? How about reading the actual history of Israel? How about reading things from the direct Bible, both New and Old Testament? How about just doing it that way instead of going and reaching and grabbing at books that don't have anything to do with anything, written by people who are vile anti-Semites? Seriously, you could read Mein Kampf and grasp more from that book about Judaism than from the shit you're reading, obviously. You are insane. See what she has to say more. This is reposted by Noah Berg. Yeah, she claims that everyone who says anything about Israel needs to make sure that they need to claim they don't want to be killed. Are you kidding me? So Kanye, Lucas Gage, every single artist, and Macklemore, Roger Waters, all these people that have spoken out against Israel for decades and said vile shit, dressed up as Nazis and said horrible things about Jews. Bassem Youssef, all of them. They've all said nasty shit, and yet none of them have ever said they don't want to be killed by Mossad. Are you an idiot? Like, are you that stupid? Are you that self-involved that you think Mossad is out to get you?
Normal, by the way, that basically every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's like, I don't want to get killed.
Nope, they don't.
like literally, speaking about people.
Literally,
literally. Excuse my language, but
like literally, like oh my god, like literally, you are insane, woman. Look at yourself. You look like a fucking lunatic. Sorry for my language, guys. This is something that really pisses me off. She used to be my freaking idol in the conservative movement. She helped me go from left to right. To watch this woman become this vile of a human being right before our eyes is truly disturbing to me. It actually hurts. Like it's like a personal attack against me. It feels like that. That's how much this hurts. It feels like someone is purposely trying to hurt me by like stabbing me in the back with something that would matter. It's like something going after. It's like somebody who knows you well enough to hurt you by doing something that they know only you will be bothered by. That's what this feels like.
But like, that is not normal.
You're not normal, bitch.
It's not normal that people have to think about their security because
they don't. You're the one who's making it up in your mind. You are insane.
And by the but then the way that you get comfortable with it is you're like, well, they shot JFK in an open car, so
what?
He's a sitting president. Obviously, my security doesn't really matter. If they want me, they're going to get me. That's not a normal thought process to have. We don't have that about any other country in the world except for the one that took over ours, and that's the truth. Okay?
What?
We are an occupied nation, and if it's going to take women like having to speak up and say that to make permission, like to give permission to men to do the same, then I'm happy to be the first person. Okay.
Yeah, you're a disgusting piece of garbage. Wow. I'll finish off this one.
Some people say, what's the big deal that Jews are overrepresented in things? Surely they're underrepresented in other things. Wouldn't it basically make me a communist to want exact representation in all things? But that's not what I want. I just want there to be no Jews in anything. I'm a utopian. Here's another thing I'm working on, the U.S. House of Representatives. There are 25 Jewish members sitting out of 435 possible seats. That makes up 6% of the total, yet again, Jews are only 2% of the U.S. population, and that is very fascinating. Also, I wouldn't want you to think that I'm so one-dimensional that my only hobby is counting how many Jews there are in things.
Actually, if you count both House and Senate, so Congress and Senate, there's 535 members of the House and Senate, and there's 26 out of both of them, not just the Senate or just the House. So it's all together, and it's actually only about 4.6%. So it's 2.6% above what it is. So that's barely anything. So 2.6% compared to 2.1% of the population, 4.6% compared to 2.1%. That's an extra 2.5%. That's not much.
I also like to independently investigate inaccuracies in.
Like, for example, 21% of the Senate and Congress are black, yet only what is it now? 13.1 or 13.2% of the U.S. population is black. So, obviously people can be overrepresented, and it's not a big deal.
Holocaust statistics. And every day when I go to bed, I pray that I could be relieved of this burden of having to count how many Jews there are in things. If you catch my drift, Iran. What was that? Mother? Dinner time? Mother's calling me for dinner. She made my favorite tonight, boiled potatoes.
Crazy. So here's what's going on in Canada right now. This Muslim woman attacks a Jewish man, steals his flag, and for no reason, just an old Muslim or an old Jewish guy gets attacked. Oops, hold on. What's going on? Get rid of this. Stole his flag. Yeah.
No, where's my hijab?
Where's your hijab? Shut the hell up.
Where's my hijab?
This guy's got messed up legs, knees, shaking, his arms cut open, his wrists cut open, his elbows messed up. So disgusting.
Let go.
You're not even from Palestine. Shut up. You can obviously tell that you're either like Hispanic or native. You aren't Middle Eastern. You're just acting like that because you want to be part of the group that you can take your anger out on anyone and feel justified in doing so.
No, where's my hijab? Look what they did to our car.
You attacked them. Really? Yeah, you smacked him right upside the side of the head with the pole and then stole his flag. All he was doing was marching down the street, walking, and then you violently attacked him for no reason because you don't like Jews. Disgusting. So this is from earlier this last year. This is what happens when they march the streets. They talk about how much they hate Jews. They scream, Kaibar, Kaibar, Yahud, Yaish Muhammad, Sauf Yahud. And if I remember correctly, it means Kaibar is a reference to the city of Kaibar, which Muhammad basically raided the city, killed thousands upon thousands of Jews, hundreds of Christians, and beheaded them all. And it was actually also where he was poisoned by a Jewish woman. So I'm glad that happened. Her family was murdered, and he took her as a servant and a sex slave and a slave, period. And he told her that to go cook for him. And she told him, if I cook for you, I will poison you. And he said, well, I'm the prophet. You can poison me. Nothing will happen. Luckily, it did happen. And then about 6 months later, it's recorded in the Hadith that he said, he goes, oh, Aisha, the poison from Kaibar, it is killing me. I can feel it. It has cut my aorta. And the reason he's saying aorta is because in the beginning, not the beginning, but towards the beginning of the Quran, he states Muhammad is supposedly told by God that if he is a false prophet, God will kill him by cutting his aorta. So he says, we can actually go over that here. I'll show you. Give me a second. Yeah, so we would surely have seized him by his right hand and with power and might, and then certainly would have cut his aorta or life artery. And then it talks about it in Sahih al-Bukhari. It says, I still feel the pain caused by the food at Kaibar. My aorta, I feel as if my aorta is being cut from that poison. That's like the parentheses, what it would say in like kind of modern English. Well, what he says was, Aisha, oh Aisha, the poison from Kaibar, I still feel it. I can feel it. It's killing me. I can feel my aorta being cut. And then he dies. So he's referring to my aorta being cut, which means he's admitting to the entire world, hey, I'm a false prophet. Yet these idiots still want to follow him like he's some godly figure. They're just lunatics. Yeah. So they're screaming, Kaibar, Kaibar, Ya Yahud, Yaish Muhammad, Saf Yahud. So Kaibar, the Jews, something, I don't know, Yaish, Muhammad, Saf Yahud. So just talking about Kaibar and how the Jews were killed at Kaibar. Let's actually translate that real quick here, because I want to be 100% sure. Okay, so Kaibar, O Jews, the army of Muhammad will return. So they're saying, like, remember Kaibar, Jews, where we slaughtered you and killed you. We will return. We are the army of Muhammad. That's basically what they're saying. Yeah, disgusting. And black people are starting to finally tell the truth about how they don't like the Palestinians for a good reason, because they call them slaves. They literally have them in a little ghetto in Palestine called Al-Abid. She says Al-Abib, which it's actually Al-Abib. D for some reason she said with a B at one point. But yeah, she talks about how they have them in a neighborhood called the Slaves, or the land of the slaves, or the area of slaves. It's, you know, basically, and just so you know, in Palestine, they sell black children on the streets for slavery. You can buy a black child. I'm not kidding. You can buy a black child for 25 American dollars, up to 300, depending on the child.
The neighborhood in Gaza, on the Gaza Strip, where 11,000 Afro-Palestinians live. It is called Al-Abib.
Bid.
You know what that means?
The slave.
Slave. Yes. That is where black people live. And that is what the Arabics call that neighborhood. Slaves. The land of the slaves. I'm going to drop the articles so you can hear from Afro-Palestinians how they're trying. Arabs and Muslims are being oppressed. They still had time to oppress black.
Yeah, no, they aren't. Arabs have never been oppressed. They've been the oppressor. That's what they do. Let's see.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
The truth is, African lives don't matter in Arab countries, and that is a fact. That's the most inhumane society where any African can live. Go and verify. Check online. In some African countries, in Kuwait and some other Arab countries, in Kuwait and some other Arab countries, they publicize merchandising black Africans as slaves. There are applications that you can install on your phone, and through the application, you can buy black Africans as slaves in many Arab countries. Many Arab countries. Go and verify.
Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all of them.
Pretend and deny and fool yourself. You are racist. You are inhumane. There is nothing godly about
it. Domestic workers, their basic human rights.
إجازة بتاخد إجازة؟ لا إحنا كروتين ما نخليه صراحة إحنا مجرمين.
أوكي. بالنسبة للموبايل وهيك.
Can't see the subtitles. Sorry.
الموبايل هذا ما أعتقد إنه يعني هذا من النوع اللي مو متعلم.
On Saudi app Haraj and Facebook-owned Instagram. The BBC
Here's the app.
Found hundreds of domestic workers for sale on Saudi app Haraj and Facebook-owned Instagram.
Yeah, I found this is pretty. This isn't it's kind of related, kind of not. But I found children for sale on Walmart.com. I might do an episode on that, but it's truly disturbing. You'll find big packets of toys for purchase on Amazon, or on Walmart.com. But the packets, which would normally cost you maybe at most $100, at minimum $25, $30, you'll find them costing $5,000 to $9,999. And you can buy children for sale on Walmart.com. I am not kidding you. And some of the comments about the purchases, like people who bought the things, it's truly disturbing. These things have existed in all cultures and are going to continue to exist until people actually call it out as what it is. Wow, that's disgusting. This is what a Palestinian guy said about a black Israeli, Jewish woman. So, yeah, so she was killed this morning while fighting terrorists in Jenin. And the guy says, I want to say roast and piss, but she was black already. That's so disgusting. We will take down the border with Israel and tear out their hearts from their bodies. High civilian casualties would add to the worldwide pressure on Israel to stop the war. They want death. They want civilian death. People who don't realize that, that's a map of Arabic colonialism right there. If you can't tell they're the biggest colonizers the world has ever seen, then you're an idiot.
In fucking America has oppressed us.
Shut up.
Black people also wear a uniform and get on a plane and come to our countries and kill us.
No, they don't.
Crimea River, I don't really feel any empathy towards you at all because you guys enslaved how many people? The Gulf countries abolished slavery in 1962. Afro-Palestinians, where did they come from? Do you think they just fell out of the sky? The vast majority were descendants of slaves. The Ottomans
still are.
enslaved thousands of people from Africa and from Europe. And many of these people who owned the slaves, who were
over
participating in the
1.8
slave
million
trade,
European slaves.
Let's not act like the Middle East is perfect without the West.
Let's talk about the 17 million Africans that were enslaved by Arabs. 17 million. That's 3.5 times more than all of the transatlantic slave trade ever traded. Maybe more, actually.
Who are oppressed in Egypt and who have been oppressed for hundreds of years. The Yazidis who got genocided by ISIS. The Assyrians and Chaldeans who had to flee to America to escape oppression inside of the Middle East. The most racist place on earth isn't Europe, it's not America, it's not East Asia, it's not Africa. It's the Middle East.
It's not Israel either. It's the everyone around Israel.
Is based on Ethiopians who are basically slaves. The vast majority of Arabs who actually live in Arab countries do not like black people.
Nope.
They have a longer history of oppression of black people
than anyone else.
So it's even more deeply ingrained inside of their mentality. In fact, the word Abid is synonymous with black people.
Yep.
And yeah, the Europeans definitely hurt black people. I'm not going to deny that. But you guys enslaved black people for longer. In fact, you guys even oppressed Europeans. I don't even think you have a right to moral virtues to...
No, they don't. They don't have a right for anything. To claim virtue of anything.
History started in 1990 or 1948, but it didn't. It started a lot earlier than that.
Hell yeah. Started a lot longer ago than 1948, I'll tell you that. Yeah, this is Dan Bilzerian's dumb
think that you're
butt.
better than...
So he thinks Jews grape 9-year-olds, steal, lie, and cheat, and somehow this is okay to be talked about on mainstream, podcasts. Are you kidding me?
Themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people. And
okay, so Christians, I'm a Messianic Jew, so I believe in Christ, but Christians think they're going to heaven and others are not. Okay, fine. That's fine. That's their religious belief. They have the right to believe so. Okay, Muslims believe that Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures and that they are the only creature among God that God has given glory and virtue and holiness to. So they believe that they are the only pure, they're the most supreme of all beings on earth, the most supreme of creatures. No one talks about that. How Muslims are literally the most, racially and ethnically and religiously supremacist group of people on the planet. But because Jews, not because they were, say God chose them. This is how it happened. God told the world, he put a message in everyone's heart that they could choose paganism and pantheism and all the multiple gods and all that other crap, or they could choose him. And he said, whoever comes to agreement with me to follow me and me alone has a eternal covenant with me, meaning it never ending at all. That's why the Jews have messed up a few times. And when they did, God said, okay, all right, come on, Babylonians, take them away. Come on, Greeks, mess with them a bit. Come on, Romans, time to get them out of there. And yes, it was their job to do so. God was using them as an instrument to punish the Jews because the Jews deserved punishment when they, fell away from the message of God. But that does not mean that they were no longer chosen. They are still chosen. And why are they chosen? Because when they said, okay, God, we will take your deal. We will accept you as our one and only true God. And we commit to you. Okay. And what did God say? He said, you are my one and only chosen people. I commit to you. I build a covenant with you. And he did so in that covenant with Moses upon the mountain. And that covenant is forever, never ending. A covenant with God is never ending and is stated multiple times throughout the Old and New Testament. What does Jesus say about the Old Covenant? I didn't come to abolish the Old Covenant. I came to confirm it, saying that the Jews are the chosen people. Why do you think the Jews were the first to hear the word of Jesus? Because he said, I came for the Jews first, then the world. Because he was there to come for who first? The Jews first. Because they were God's chosen people. and are still God's chosen people. Just because they don't always do what God wants does not mean they are not his people anymore. And as a Christian, you have to recognize the fact that they are God's chosen people. If you deny that, then not only are you not a Christian, you don't believe what the Bible says, you don't believe what Christ says, then you are no longer any part of an Abrahamic religion at all. This is just facts.
And you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay
Not
to
true.
steal from people that are not a Jew.
Not true.
You have two sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything.
No, it doesn't.
And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, raping, kids that are 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like my moral code keeps me on track.
No, it doesn't. You sleep with multiple women. You stole a whole bunch of people's money. You party on fucking yachts with women, and you've gotten accused of raping them and sexually assaulting them. You lied to the entire world saying you were a billionaire when you barely had enough money to get by. You are a scumbag piece of dirt. You are a greedy, self-interested piece of crap, buddy. You have no moral code. You have no right to speak on any of this.
Problem comes when you think that you're better than...
Yeah, go screw yourself, Dan Bilzerian. And you tried to say like what he's quoting is supposedly Talmud quotes. Okay, I've been over this on my Twitter multiple times. Every time someone posts this stupid meme of supposed Talmud quotes, they're all bullshit. Number one, the Talmud is not scriptures for the Jews. It's not something we live by. It's a set of what-ifs and arguments between rabbis. What if your neighbor steals your goat and then you have to get it back? And he says, I'm not going to give it to you back. So you say, okay, well, if you don't, I'm going to do this. Do you have the right to do this, 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 and this? And they go, okay, well, you can't do this, but you can do that. Okay, well, what if he comes at you and says physically, are you allowed to kill him or hurt him? Well, it depends on the case. And they argue it through. That's what the Talmud is. It's a series of what ifs argued out by two rabbis or a number of rabbis, depending on the conversation. That's it. The Jews don't say this is scripture. They use it to kind of like look at the world today and say, well, what is, since, it says in the Talmud this, so they argued it this way. So how would we take that and use it in today's modern world? They don't take those scriptures and then use them directly for anything. That's it. Or sorry, not scriptures. They don't take those arguments and use them in today's world for anything. The only scriptures they use for anything is the Tanakh, aka the Torah, the Nevi'im, the Ketuvim, those three books which make up the Old Testament, or those three sections of the Old Testament. That's what they use as scriptures. The rest is all just what if arguments that can be placed upon things as kind of like a basic knowledge of basic knowledge and wisdom kind of book. That's what it is. Like there's one that's like if a non-Jew puts a little bit of ham in your soup, is it okay to eat? And you're like, well, it depends on the ratio of ham to soup. Can you eat it if it's 1 to 10? No, that's too much ham. That's basically ham soup at that point. Okay, well, what about 1/30th ham to soup? Okay, well, no, it's still too much ham. Okay, well, what about 1/60th? Okay, that's not ham soup. That's soup with a little bit of ham in it. And now it's okay to eat. And that's basically how the book works. It is how the book works. That's literally an argument that they have in it. I'm not kidding. It's also a joke that Ari Shafir talks about, the fact that is in the book. And it's just, that's what the book is. It's not anything crazy. Yeah. So this woman, you may have seen her making ridiculously stupid arguments on Palestine that are easily debunkable, but not only is she extremely racist towards white people, black people, Jews, whatever, she starts making arguments about, like there's a video I have after this one where she literally is making fun of black women. And here she's making fun of Jewish people with Jewish, like European Jewish accents.
Call my uncle will take the restaurant.
What do you mean take the restaurant?
You can have it. You're a chosen one. Tahori? This is a tahori?
Oh no, Hebrew accent, my bad.
Where were all of you people who suddenly realized that Maya is a piece of shit when she made videos like this, reiterating messages straight out of Mein Kampf? Making fun of our accents, calling us thieves, misappropriating Jewish terminology, mocking the deadliest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Where were you? I'm glad that people finally realized that Maya doesn't really give a damn about black people and this whole allyship thing is conditional. But it just shows you that Jew hatred, anti-Jewish racism is not taken seriously. And before you say, oh, it's not racist, Jews are not a race and all of that, Yes, it is. Making fun of someone's accent is racist. Making fun of our trauma when our people...
Racism is any discrimination, positive or negative, based on someone's skin color, race, which are not the same thing. Skin color, race, ethnicity, religion, nationality, religion, ethnicity, or nationality. And the other type is, there's two types. There's that type, and then there's a set of ideological beliefs based on or a set of ideological ideals based on the belief that either a group is superior or inferior based on their skin color, race, ethnicity, nationality, or religion. So those are the two things.
Are still being held hostage by Hamas. That's racist. If any other person...
And Jews are both an ethnic group and a religious group. You don't stop becoming Jewish just because you're not religiously Jewish. Like it shows up on my DNA tests, like Sephardic and Ashkenazic.
Would do it to any other group, you would immediately call it out. Yet somehow when it comes to Jews, none of y'all give a damn. Sleep on it.
Hold on. I called my uncle about taking the restaurants.
Yeah.
What do you mean take the restaurant?
Let's see how racist she is against black people. Making fun of their accents and clicking their fingers and nails and whatever.
Fufu, my real name Fatima, but did you ever fucking call me that? Where you stay? Oh, you from here? Oh, you think I'm light-skinned? Yeah, everybody be saying that.
Is she
I'm
freaking
actually Arab.
Catch Me Outside? That's what this reminds me of.
But like, I feel like I can still say the N-word, you know? Because like, I'm not fucking white.
Okay. I'm lighter skinned than you, but my dad is black. If I ever caught this woman saying the N-word, hard R or not, or just the A, I would straight up slap her upside the head. Be like, what the did you just say? I don't even say it because I don't like the word, period. But if I was an ignorant dumbass who thought the word was okay to say at any time, I probably would say it because I have no problem saying it because my dad is black. But I don't say it because the word's a fucking stupid word to say. I'm not going to bring back the word kike just because it was once used as an oppressive word and now we can take it back and turn it into our thing. No, I'm not an idiot. It's stupid.
Shit, if it ain't foreign, it's boring, you know? Oh, you hungry, girl? I got you here. I got you, sis. Hold up. My dad calling me. Yo. Baba. I'm in class right now. I can't talk. What? Yes, I know. I'm going to do my prayer. I got the alarm. I'm in class. Okay, I gotta go. Bye. I love you. The fuck you looking at, bitch? Get the fuck out of my...
Jesus. Sorry. I shouldn't take the Lord's name in vain. That's just ridiculous. This woman is... It's just the racism coming from these people nowadays. It's just insane. As Netanyahu says in here, I talk about Amin al-Husseini, the man who was the uncle of Yasser Arafat and the teacher of Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority. Amin al-Husseini was the one who told Hitler to exterminate the Jews because he was just going to send them back to Israel, basically in the Middle East.
Exterminate the Jews at the time. He wanted to expel the Jews. And Haj Amin al-Husseini went to Hitler and said, if you expel them, they'll all come here. So what should I do with them? He asked. He said, burn them.
Yep. True. That's why he met with him. We've talked about that in previous videos. And here's his little disciple right here. Talking about America is the plague. America, this is America. America is the plague and the plague is America. Disgusting. He's a Turkish flag and a Palestinian flag on his coat. And we've been sending millions and billions of dollars a year to this douche right here in the Palestinian Authority. And he uses the money to pay terrorists' families a stipend. And every Jew that they kill, they get a certain amount of money. And I think it's $10,000 American dollars per month for the family of the person who killed the Jew. And it's ridiculous. This continues to go on. And it's never going to change until someone wakes up and says that's enough is enough. But yeah. All right. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope I exposed enough of what you guys haven't seen. You guys should stand up against people like Candace Owens and Lucas Gage and whatever that dumbass girl's name is, the one making fun of blacks and Jews and whatever, and Dan Bilzerian, all these idiots. Maya Abdallah. But yeah, so don't forget to go down there and smash the video or smash the smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and don't forget to share this video if you guys like it. I appreciate you guys coming down and watching. Alrighty, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one.